How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
RCCG forms office to support.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Booking November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
The rising spate of insecurity in Nigeria raises concerns about the future of the nation. We discuss insecurity in the country today on The Breakfast.
Also on The Breakfast, as poor power supply persists in many parts of the country, the federal government has quietly removed all subsidy in the power sector with a plan to gradually end subsidy on petrol.
We also have analysis of the headlines on the front pages of the nation's national dailies. This and more ahead on The Breakfast right here on Plus TV Africa. A very good morning to you. Welcome to The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. It's a beautiful Monday morning and we're live from our studios in Victoria Island, Lagos. My name is Kofi Bartels.
And I am Mercy Bopo. It's really great to be back in the screen this beautiful Monday morning.
And of course, no surprises. Mercy is looking extra special this morning. Today is her birthday. Today is her birthday. Mercy, I'm not leaving this studio without something from you.
Don't worry.
Happy birthday. If not for time, I would have sung a birthday song for you.
No, but that's okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, there's an extra shine.
Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. All right, so all Mercy's fans, you know how to reach her so you can help her enjoy her birthday.
That sounds like a promo.
Yes, indeed, yes, indeed. Well, it's been a very, very active weekend. A lot to talk about. If we want to fit all the trending issues into our segment this morning, we'll not finish. But let's start off with a look at the political scene where a letter popped up from the, some people will say purportedly, but we won't say purportedly because it was signed, from the Redeemed Christian Church of God, informing that they had launched what they call a directorate of politics. And you can see that memo, a copy of it on your screen there. The Redeemed Christian Church of God, led by Pastor Enoch Adeboye, saying it's newly released or newly created Office of Directorate of Politics and Governance has nothing to do with Vice President Yemi Osinbajo's purported presidential ambition, or any other person for that matter who might have a presidential ambition in 2023. And that was the immediate reaction of people when they saw this memo. They said, oh, they want to campaign for Oshibajo.
And even some of the papers, you know, some of the blogs and, you know, the newspaper, if you look at the headlines, they were very suggestive of that particular fact, and which is not it, because, I mean, if you go through the memo states that they were supporting members of the church who were vying for it. And I know that has actually been generating a lot of conversation, especially for a country as Nigeria, where we're very big on religion. So we understand where that will come from. Some people are saying, should we meddle politics and religion? I mean, what business should church have with politics and all of that? There should be away from it. But constitutionally, you want to look at it, everyone has a right, you know, to be there. Via for political office. And if the churches, because we're governed, I would constantly say that we're governed in bits and pieces, in fragments. And so you have religious organization, you have different parts. And I'm thinking that we have not harnessed the fact that we're in groups and we can achieve a lot. So imagine that the church, the mosques, and everyone is pushing a particular agenda for the Nigerian cause. Then we will not be where we are today. So yes, it's commendable. I mean, I think it's commendable. It's a great one. But it doesn't necessarily mean that having, you know, it's a good thing to see that the church is supporting her own and not necessarily saying, hey, you don't have to be part of politics because it's a worldly thing. You know, all of that secular conversation, always a secular thing you can be part of.
To support members of the church. I mean, Oshibajo is not just a member of the church. Professor Yemi Oshibajo is not just a member of the church, he is also a pastor in the church. So if it doesn't mean that he won't support him, I don't know. But anyway, let's not put words in their mouth. What the church said was that, you know, they've been you know, trying to sensitize. They actually want to sensitize members of the church as far as political activities and political participation is concerned, including voter education and getting their permanent voter card. This is the media release or media reaction as the public relations officer of the church. He's the head of media as well. Pastor Laito Olubi, he said, he granted an interview. He said the Redeemed Christian Church of God has been creating political awareness since the transition from military rule to civilian rule in Nigeria in 1999, and there was nothing new about the development. He said Christians cannot afford to act ignorantly by staying away from politics because the choice of political leadership affects the entire well-being of the people. So this is what they have put out to the media. The memo was an internal memo that got leaked, you know, creating this Office of Directorate of Politics and Governance. But they've had to now come out and say this is why. You know, but I mean, if you talked about very interesting points you raised, Mercy, talking about the you know, question, should the church be involved in politics? Should the church be involved in politics? That is an all-important question. But you see, they say that bad things happen when good people do nothing. You understand? Bad things happen when good people do nothing. In Christendom, people have sat back for years saying that politics was for the dirty people, you know, was for the sinners. So if you are in politics, you have to be a sinner to be a successful politician. And some aspect, some segment of the church has enforced or reinforced that mindset that those who are involved in politics are dirty people. Or rather, that if you want to be successful in politics, you must be dirty, or if you want to get into politics, you must be dirty. And I think that it's a welcome development for a church as big as the Redeemed Christian Church of God to realize and to decide, hey, we actually have power. We have the power to determine the future of this country. Because if you look at the membership across not just Nigeria, but across the world, who knows if there'll be diaspora voting tomorrow? They have a large following. Let's see where the power lies. Let's see where the numbers lie. Let's see where the population lies. All right? And Nigeria's future cannot be mortgaged. We can't sit back. So the church has to be involved. And if people are questioning why should the church be involved, we need to go back to the history of Christianity and politics to realize that this thing we're talking about, politics, you know, and Christianity have been intertwined, you know, right from the early days of the church, including the Roman Catholic Church, you know. So what are we talking about? They're the same.
No,
politics and Christianity.
So, I mean, I'm not actually on the other
centuries.
side of the divide. Like I rightly mentioned, if you look at it constitutionally, they do have a right because they are Nigerians. I mean, the fact that you're Christian or you belong to a particular denomination does not disenfranchise you as long as you are law-abiding and you do not constitute a nuisance. So, yes, they do have a right, and it's very commendable. Maybe, but it's not, you know...
Well, let's tell ourselves the truth.
No,
I mean,
I
think they want to push
it doesn't
that,
necessarily mean that would translate when you have people from the church becoming. It doesn't necessarily, it's not a guarantee that, yes, you're going to have good policies, governance. That's not it. So that's another conversation for another day.
But to be honest,
I think that they have a right, and what they're doing is totally, you know, correct. I'm also saying that maybe the mosques, every other person, we need to come together. The Nigerian project is not a project for one person. Everybody, including the native doctors and herbalists, they can come together.
We have another top trending story, and this, of course, is bizarre, really sad. I think it was last week. We had a trending story of a man who went into a public health facility in Lagos State, and was dressed as a nurse, and the allegation was that he was trying to steal a baby. You know, though the authorities later came out to say, oh, he was trying to steal something. He went in there and then he decided to steal nurses' clothes so that he could disguise and escape. But we've been talking about this, and I think I've said it before, that when we get closer to elections, I'm sorry to say this, I know that it's a
so that's a
there's a lot of conjecturing going on here, but
it is.
But from my experience as a journalist, especially on radio, talking about issues affecting the nation, issues in the news, I've realized that the closer we get to elections, but the closer we get to elections, the more we hear of things like this. What is a dispatch rider doing with a baby in a dispatch box in the Sagotedo area of Lekki, Lagos State? Now, of course, those who came out to start to react to this in the way I am were a bit too hasty. You know, a bit too hasty because you never can tell what could be going on. You know, but yesterday we're told that the police had launched a search for that dispatch rider, and the pictures were all over the internet. I'm happy that the media houses blurred the face of the baby. You know, the police in Lagos had launched a search for that dispatch rider over the alleged theft of a baby. That's what the police said. Intensify the search for this dispatch rider.
So, first of all, it's quite unfortunate. I would say that security is still everyone's business, and we need to pay attention. And if you have, because I know that dispatch rider, you have companies whose business is to, you know, dispatch goods and what have you to different locations. So apart from the fact that they are looking for the dispatch rider, they need to investigate if it's just an individual or it's a company. That's also another issue. It's really, really very dicey. But it brings us back to the fact that, I mean, security is everyone's business.
What's the baby doing in the dispatch rider's box?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
What's the baby doing there?
So you also have to agree with me that some of this, but I mean, you don't really, I'm sure that you need to mention all of them. So you should be able to understand. It still brings us back to the fact that we as humans need to understand that we're responsible for our security and protection. Yes. Now, what's most scary in all of this, as much as we call government to be responsible, is the fact that we have lost humanity. So when I read that story, when I saw the pictures and I saw videos on the internet, it's a good time that, I mean, we have the smartphones and the smartphones are really working. I started imagining, wow, no one could ever think that you could, that's also already also, you know, suggestive. And so people could actually also consider this. But it's a lot of work for security, you know, agency. And we must commend those who actually were at the forefront of it, who actually alerted. So, but mostly what I'm saying is this, we need to pay attention. We need to pay attention to the issue of security. The persons who commit this crime are not, they don't fall from the sky. They don't live far away from us. They live with us. We need to be part of, you know, the security. As much as we always want to blame the government. Oh, yeah, the government is not doing X, Y, Z. Oh, the government. But you need to understand that the people who commit these crimes are not strangers. They're not spirits. They're human beings. They're our brothers, like I always say, sisters, neighbors, and you see them and you know what they're doing. You should report them. Yes, I understand that the people have lost trust in the entire system, in governance and police, but we need to take the issue of security. And I commend those who actually were very alert, because, I mean, it's an issue of being alert and, being able. Some people say, you see the reason why, you know, the Nigerian police should continue with the search and stop. But I am taken aback. I am blown away and taken off that a human being would take another human being, a baby for that matter, put in a box and transport this baby to another location.
Shut down some loan companies. These are loan sharks in other parts of the world, called loan sharks, over what it calls customer privacy violations. Some of them are really well known. The names I've seen in some reports include GoCash. You know GoCash? Your answer will determine what I say to you. You have OCash, you have Easy Credit, Cash. I'm hearing some of these names for the first time. You have Speedy Choice, you have Easy Money.
But you patronize this person.
Shoko Loan.
No, let me ask, you know.
You know, but yeah, okay, that's one look at it. But
yeah, but have you by chance? Let me put this to you now. I'm putting you on her spot. Yeah. Have you by chance patronized any of these loan companies?
I wouldn't want to put my financial phones, like my phone has a spam feature that detects spam messages, and then it hides them from you, and then it tells you that you have some spam. Now, Messi, I've realized that you have some fraudsters who, sensing the desperation of some people in the country because of the economic situation, they want to cash in on that. So what they do is they'll send you a link. They send you a link and tell you that you have some money available for you can cash it out and pay maybe, you know, a very friendly, very a small interest. And believe me, if you click that link, you'll be, you know, spammed in a way. You know, so people need to be careful about that.
Well, as much as I say people need to be careful, but you know that out of desperation, as much as
just
we want to,
by the way.
Yes, out of desperation most times, because there are always terms and agreement. They're usually terms and conditions. But because of the need for people to, I mean, you are in need, and of course, someone is throwing this at you, and then you don't pay attention to the details. As much as we frown at, you know, the means, because I have gotten a couple of messages. I mean, that's what happened. So they begin to harass people.
I've gotten many.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of them.
Many, and
it's the same thing. We're saying the same thing. So they just tell you that, oh, someone, you know, this. You be like, who is this person? What's going on here? There was a time I actually thought. They put the person's name, so there was a time, really, let me even share this experience. On enlightened, there was a time I got a message, right? And so this person is someone I talked to at the time, you know, we lived in the same region, so the South region, and I saw a text. Then I decided to verify the number. It didn't, you know, it wasn't really very clear. So I dialed the number and I said, oh, I have this person's number. So this person is a criminal. They frauded the company.
Oh, they told the person was a criminal.
That's what they said. So I was like, oh my God. So this person is a criminal. They frauded the company. I started panicking. Then as time, you know, went on, I realized that, you know, all of those things that we're saying was not what it was. It was just a way of trying to get this person to pay the debt. But I'm saying that, yes, as much as we feel that, oh, we have to be very, I mean, you don't want to put all your issues out there. The fact that you even indulge, number one, it gives you away. And most times people don't read. We get to sign up for all of those apps and services. We don't read the agreements. We just say, yes, I agree. And so that's what a lot of Nigerians have been doing. But yes, we don't, as much as these persons are here to solve problems, but I think the outcry is that, hey, the way and manner in which people are going about it is, you know, is violating the human privacy.
I mean, people need to be careful and you think twice, because this has been an issue in other countries, like the UK. I don't want to mention names now, but they're offering juicy amounts. For instance, Mercy, this one was sent to me on Tuesday. It's an SMS. I didn't solicit for it. I didn't ask for it. I don't know them. I saw something.
But you have the willpower to say no.
I saw something, new credit. That's me. Well, the other people out there. It says, dear customer, I'm not a customer. Congratulations for the beginning of your credit journey. Your available new credit limit is 15,000 naira. Get your loan now. I never clicked anywhere. I never asked for it. So why are you sending me these? So they're even pushing it in the faces of people. You know, it's really sad. And then the first time I saw a message from one of these loan sharks, you know, I saw someone's name. First time I saw it, they said, ABC, XYZ person, let it be known to you that XYZ person is a criminal. He's a fraudster.
That's the message. I mean, it's so heartbreaking.
So this guy, why it's Sabina?
Imagine saying, okay, no, imagine that it was me now, that they sent my name to you. How would you feel?
So I called the guy, I said, oh boy, what do you do now?
We need to move on.
You need to try yourself to the police. The guy now explained to me. I said, oh my God. You know, but the thing about it is people also need to go in for loans they can pay. You know, I know life is hard, it's difficult, you know, when you offer these amounts of money, but do not take a loan you're not sure of paying back. You know, so don't put yourself in a trap, because it's going to be, you have to borrow from another person to pay back. Look for a better way, you know.
No, but the truth is, if you actually look at it, a lot of people are not very good at paying debt. I have had a couple of persons who feel that this is also another way to defraud. So it still brings us back to the issue of integrity, whether or not we like their approach. This person say, okay, yes, we're giving you, and if you have agreed to pay at a certain time, then you should pay. But so people take advantage, and so on the other hand, this guy is a profit driven. It's a capitalist system. But however, we're querying, the approach and manner in which they're going about it.
Yes.
But I think that all of this should have been part of the conversation agreements that people get to click yes to. So yes, it brings us to the fact that we don't pay attention, to some of the things that we agree to. But that's it on Top Trending this morning. We'll definitely return tomorrow with more interesting conversations, generating reactions in different spaces. When we return, it will be time for us to be looking at the front pages of our national dailies. We call it Off the Press. And of course, Okunabon Kataria, All Things Being Equal, is on standby to join us.
God from whom all blessings flow. Welcome to your favorite program, The Moment of Truth, brought to you by the Citadel Global Community Church. Our God is a God of salvation, far above all principality and power and might and dominion, that regardless of what happens in this season, you will escape. Say to your neighbor, there is no peace for the wicked. The lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting, but diligence is a man's precious possession. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
Moment of Truth with Pastor Tunde Bakare, Sundays, 7 p.m. on PlusTvAfrica.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you. Join me every week on this station, PlusTvAfrica, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajitumobi.
How can we have peace without
Welcome back to The Breakfast and PlusTvAfrica. It's time for us to take you through the papers. As always, we have a guest who joins the conversation. Tunde Kolawole, a legal practitioner, is on standby. It's good to have you join us, Tunde.
Thanks for having me, my sister. Always delight being on the same panel with you.
All right, then. Let's take a look at the Leadership newspaper this morning. And the banner caption says, amid court orders court-ordered threat. Buni gets President Muhammad Buhari's nod to conduct the APC convention. That's the bold caption there. Underneath, unvacated court order threatens March 26 convention. Hearing of substantive suit fixed for March 30th. Despite cabal out to procure another injunction against Buni leadership. This is a group. I'm just wondering what's happening with the, the APC. It's a major concern for everyone, and that's because the APC is your progressive Congress, as they're being called. It's a ruling party. 26 is just a few days from now. It feels like this might just threaten, and we're looking at, the elections coming very close. But away from that, you find money laundering. I did not clear Abba Kyari, according to the Attorney General of the Federation. I did not clear Abba Kyari. AGF is quoted on that. And now the header says, presidency unveils plan to end fuel scarcity. And Dangote pledges greater investment in women empowerment. More bank cuts dollar limits on Naira cards to $20 monthly. That's also another major challenge. A lot of Nigerians have been reacting and talking about the Gens Co. 1.6 trillion Naira debts, greed, mismanagement crippling our operations. And it's also on the leadership, but that's the much that we can take.
Let's turn our attention now to headlines off the front page of the Daily Independent. The big one, Nigeria loses 91.6 billion naira yearly to foreign airlines, multiple points. It's an interesting one there. More from the Independent. We won't outsource our primary responsibility, Irabo. You might want to read more on page 27 of the paper to understand what that headline is about. Defection. Why Umahi deputy may lose at appeal court. Sage. Court restrains APC from holding March 26 national convention. Court restrains APC from holding March 26 national convention. Genco's link poor electricity supply to inefficient grid management. Strike. ASU tackles FG over comments on UTAS. That's the Unified Tertiary Scheme or Payment Scheme meant to replace the IPPIS by ASU. We're working around the clock to end the fuel scarcity presidency. Mining firms owe federal government 2.76 billion naira. That's coming from the NATI. That's the Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. Details on page 6. Cocaine deal. Malami denies exonerating Abba Kyari. And NPLs may rise as CBN moratorium over COVID-19 ends. And these are some stories of the front page on the Daily Independent this morning.
Away from the Daily Independent, we take a look at the Punch newspaper. The Punch says, Buni may head APC convention. Uncertainty surrounds zoning. President asks Yobe governor to lead party to national summit, according to source. Adamu may lose out as party throws open chairmanship seat tussle. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo to meet state chairman ahead of presidential bid declaration. Talks with Labour on fuel subsidy removal ongoing. This is what the federal government is saying. We won't make gunpoint negotiations with ASU, says government. Genscos disagree with TCN over outage and blames weak transmission. You still have some interesting headlines here this morning. General Vasir heading for Kenya crusade arrested with cannabis in Lagos. I saw that story and I'm sure that's been getting several Nigerians talking. While 13 Kwara crash victims were given mass burial, that's what the police is quoted to say. Again, you find Lekki Seaport will contribute $360 billion to Nigerian GDP, and SIM NIN linkage. Consumers fall to March 31st deadline and demand continues registration. Well, that's it on the Punch this morning.
Let's now turn our attention to the headlines of the front of the front page of the Nation newspaper. The big one there, APC chair, pressure mounts on Buhari to drop Adamu. El-Rufai Masari off to London on consultation mission. Seems we're having Nigeria's Asurok now in London. Everybody's trooping to London for consultations. Meanwhile, we'll get some thoughts from our guest this morning. Buni returns Wednesday with a nod to take charge. Let's see what happens. INEC should not meddle in party affairs, says Olawepo Hashim. 2023, PDP opens defection talks with ex-governors, senators, reps. PDP does not belong to Wike, says Obaseki. One wonders where these two lost it, because they were in bed together. Russia-Ukraine war, a threat to Nigeria's food security. More from the Nation. IMF to help Nigeria, others on debts, tax. MAN, that's the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, laments 720 naira per litre diesel price as aviation fuel hits 600 naira per litre. Why we sell petrol above 165 naira per litre by Ipman. And General Overseer arrested with drugs at Lagos Airport. 5 killed in Katsina are the headlines on the front page of the Nation newspaper. It's time to bring in at this point Tunde Kolawole, a legal practitioner, and our guests on Of the Press this morning. Mr. Kolawole, we start with the one on the front page of the Nation newspaper with the dancing chairs or musical chairs in the APC. Remember those games, that game we played as children back in the day, where, you know, we have fewer chairs than those dancing. I don't know who's going to lose out on this APC dancing chairs. But what are your thoughts on the president's stance? Yes, so far.
Honestly speaking, I think the APC is a victim of its, how would I say, creation. If you and I will remember, they called themselves, they came together as a legacy party. It was a different political party that were already coupled together for the mere purpose of capturing political power. And having got to power and staying in power for the past 7 years now, they really have not been able to overcome their differences, bring together a party that is an amalgam of strange bedfellows. And when you have that kind of an issue, you hardly could have peace within the house. The tragedy of the whole thing is that this is affecting governance. You and I do know that once election remains a year or 1.5 years or thereabout, most politicians, political office holders and whatnot, legislators and whatnot, they abandon governance and then begin to face how they'll be able to get re-elected or get back into power. If you now add the problem that the APC has in his hands of his inability to organize his convention, of his inability to put his house together, of his inability to create a solid, effective, and cohesive party, then you and I will know that the country is in trouble. We're in trouble not just because the party is not cohesive, but it is also a party that has no respect for the rule of law and order, and is equally desperate to come to power, no matter what the wishes and aspirations of the Nigerian people might be. So, my fear is that, and especially with what is happening in the other political parties, the PDP itself appears to be in disarray. Most of the other smaller parties don't have the resources to really be able to mobilize the Nigerian people behind them. So Nigeria is in serious trouble. And now we're going to get out of this, beats my imagination. And just like he said, this is what we've been talking about. We now have a president who is resident abroad, and people now have to start flying to London to hold consultations with him. That is not just a drain on the resources of the nation, but it also has far-reaching implications on the kind of decision that will be taken at the end of the day. If the president were to be on ground, he won't be able to take charge effectively the way and manner a leader should take charge. Because even though he has said the vice president is in charge when he's not around, the truth of the matter is no president gives power or absolute power or effective power to their deputies. They are mere spare tires, decorative ornaments who could not take very crucial decisions when there is a need to take very, very crucial decisions. I foresee what is happening in the APC having a very negative impact and destabilizing the Nigerian judiciary if care is not taken. Because at the end of the day, what this political party and some of the other political parties that are so disorganized now will be doing is to start going to court to procure one injunction or the other, to get one restraining order or the other, to use the court to legalize all the unlawful and illegal activities that they have embarked upon, all the infractions that they are committing against the law. You and I will know that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the new electoral act, has a schedule of when and what should be done at any particular period in time before the proper election is conducted. Now, all those timelines will the APC be able to meet it with the crisis in their hands? The answer is maybe no. Furthermore, there is a party that will want to go shopping for decisions in court, for judgments in court, for orders in court, to legitimize all these illegalities that we are seeing. Their own member has advised them that it is wrong for a sitting governor to also be the one to be the chairman of the party, to be conducting the affairs of the party, to be organizing the convention of the party. As the party listens to him, and the man who advised them is a senior advocate of Nigeria, and also a member of their political party, and also a minister. But they just brush that aside, believing that whatever decision, whatever they want to do, they could always enroll the Nigerian judiciary to give its stamp of legality on it. So these are the dangers. It is impunity that is at stake in here. It is incompetence that is at stake in here. It is a kind of lame duck presidency that we have in our hands. That's why we are having all this crisis, not just in the APC, but which is having a ripple effect on the Nigerian nation as a whole. Look at power supply in the country today has been very erratic. In the past few months, there is no food supply. And you have the presidency should really take charge, who should take the crucial decision to ensure that these things are normalized. He is abroad, attending to his
Mr. Kolawole, Mr. Kolawole, if Paul Biya can do it, I'm sure that Paul Biya has done it successfully from Switzerland, and Cameroon is still functioning.
He's been living abroad for decades now.
Okay. Tunde Kolawole.
I agree with you. You see, the difference between Cameroon and Nigeria is that Cameroon is not as populous as Nigeria. It doesn't have as many political parties as we have. And then Cameroon is much more cohesive than Nigeria, because what we have in Cameroon is an authoritarian regime that has been there for more than 30 or 40 years. So when you compare the two scenarios, it's totally different.
All right. Now, you also have, on the other hand, the government saying that they have quietly removed electricity subsidy in the electricity sector. I'd like to share your thoughts on this one.
Well, where is the subsidy in the first instance? Look at the front page of the paper today. I think they say diesel is selling for about 720 naira per liter, and aviation fuel for about 640 naira per liter. So what subsidy are they talking about? Technically speaking, I'm not too sure there is any subsidy on the Nigerian whatever fuel that we use in this country. What we have been having is that Nigerian people are being asked to pay for their inefficiency. When somebody brought in adulterated fuel into the country not too long ago, what has happened to that issue? Are we hearing anything about it again? Whereas you and I do know that before the fuel left where it was purchased, you will conduct a test to make sure that it meets all the quality requirements for fuel that is going to be used for engineering purposes. And immediately it gets also to the country too. You're supposed to conduct a test on it to make sure it meets all the quality parameters. But lo and behold, that adulterated fuel escaped all these tests and got into the Nigerian market, damaging and ruining so many people's equipment and motor cars and what have you. So if we have been able to manage our refinery, make them run effectively and all that, shall we be talking about fuel subsidy? So invariably, what they are talking about when they talk about fuel subsidy is their inefficiency. It is their inability to do what is right. It is the corruption that the Nigerian people are paying for. And I am saying when they talk to you about fuel subsidy and all that, you tell them to put on their thinking cap and make sure that the refineries are working and that they stop all this money and the use of purchase of fuel from abroad for money laundering and other corruption purposes that they've been using it to perpetrate on the Nigerian nation. We have had too much of this. And I keep saying it that the Nigerian people have been too tolerant of this incompetent leadership and a lame duck administration.
All right, Mr. Baske, sorry, I said Mr. Baske, to the Kwalaole, let's look at what is going on between Nyesom Wike of the PDP and River State and Obaseki of the PDP and Edo State, two men who previously worked together, very closely, were all yummy chummy, now exchanging words, from the PDP to other parties and all that. Your thoughts on all the drama?
Well, that is a very, very interesting one. You and I know what role that Wike played in getting Obaseki to become the governor of Edo State. But the truth of the matter is that, if you permit me to use the word, politicians are prostitutes. They hardly remember the good gestures that we did to them yesterday. What they are particular and what they are interested in is what gains, what profits, what power will they be holding on to in the future. So as far as Obaseki is concerned, Wike is history. And he also he wants to be his own man. And he doesn't want anybody dictating or slamming down anything than the neck of other PDP members and what have you. But you see, that doesn't all go well for the two of them. It also doesn't all go well for the PDP. And it is also going to be adversarial to the Nigerian society as a whole. In the sense that if you don't have a PDP, that is an effective alternative, a fighting machine against the APC. That may comes 2023. Nigeria will have no choice in terms of a plurality of different parties to vote for. And for me, that will be a monumental tragedy. The APC haven't performed well, and if there is no effective alternative to them, and that, the Nigerian people will be in serious problems as regards their future as a nation. But with that as it may, let's also say that Wike has been too garrulous and rancorous when it comes to the affairs of the PDP. He doesn't appear to have respect for his colleagues, for his governors, brother governors, and for other political party members. He now begins to see himself as kind of de facto leader of the PDP. Whereas I'm not too sure that shoe is not too big for him to wear. This, no matter how brilliant he might be, no matter how tactical and strategic he is as a politician, without humility, without respect for his brother governors and for other party members, there will always be ripples within the PDP as a political party. But the bottom line is the lesson to learn from all this is that never rely on the commitment, on the undertaking, on the good gesture you have done for a politician. Once he's moved on, once he has new ambitions and all that, to hardly remember what you have done for him to secure whatever political office he now has.
All right, let's also take a look at the Punch this morning. Still on the Punch newspaper, you have the federal government saying we won't make gunpoint negotiations with ASU. Sounds like the government is saying that ASU might just be applying more pressure and trying to force them to get to some sort of agreement. But we already know that the federal government is yet to come to terms with the agreement of 2009. What are your thoughts?
For God's sake, how can somebody be talking about gunpoint negotiation with ASU? For God's sake, this debacle between ASU and the federal government has been known for more than almost, you could even say since the inception of this administration, if not even before the inception of this administration. Numerous agreements have been signed with ASU, which the federal government has been able to meet its own part of the agreement. The ASU people have gone on strike, whether warning or substantive strike, too many times in the last 10 years or thereabouts. Not that all the universities, polytechnics now are now comatose. And somebody is still talking about gunpoint negotiation. In what way is that a gunpoint negotiation? The ASU demands are very, very straightforward. And I agree with them on a few number of those proposals. I also have my reservation for another one. First and foremost, they said they shouldn't be put on the platform in which all federal government workers are going to be paid. And I think I agree with them. The reason why the federal government is insisting on putting all federal government workers on ASU also on the same platform is simply because they have awarded a contract to their proxy to build that platform payment of workers, and in which that organization that got the contract will be making money as the definition till the end of time if everybody on that platform. And also you say, look, by the nature of our job, our salary is not amenable to that kind of a platform. And I agree with them, because I have had the opportunity before to also teach in a higher institution, and I know the system operates in there. You won't believe it. If I can travel abroad and see some brilliant, reputable, resourceful lecturers, and on the spot negotiate with those people and bring them to his university.
Okay.
That kind of an arrangement is not when you start looking for protocols and writing federal government and then putting people on platform and other before they can begin to work. It doesn't work that way.
Okay, thank you, Tunde. Yeah, interesting. Though the federal government has said through the Ministry of, I think, Science and Technology or Digital Economy has said that the UTS has failed the integrity test. But we'll move on to another story from the Nation newspaper. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria lamenting 720 naira per litre price for diesel as aviation fuel hits 600 naira per litre. We're still grappling with this situation. What are your thoughts on the fact that we're still here? In addition to this, the federal government has promised, the presidency in particular, on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, says we are working round the clock to end fuel scarcity. So I'd like you to combine these two headlines.
Well, they've been working around the clock to make sure that the congestion at the Nigerian ports are resolved. Has this been resolved up to today? The whole vice president flew to Lagos in a chopper, visited the port several times, and they've introduced all manners of programs and solutions, all of which have not worked. The same thing is going to happen with this fuel thing. So the extent that so long as we depend on the importation of fuel from abroad, and then the Ukrainian and then the Russian war continues, and because that is what has destabilized the international oil market. Until that matter is resolved, what working around the clock or what solutions will the Nigerian government be able to provide for this fuel crisis that we have in our arms? The most probable solution will be to fix your refinery, get all the 3 or 4 refineries working at the same time, so that you can begin to produce fuel internally, and then you will not be exposed to what is happening, to the vagaries of what is happening between the Russian and Ukrainian, to the vagaries of what is happening and the international oil market. But we are not moving in that direction. The only contract that the federal government has awarded is for the fixing of one refinery, and that fixing of that refinery is not going to be completed until the next 6 years. So what solutions are they talking about? I don't see that working. I think they are merely saying this just to kind of assuage the feelings of the Nigerian people and give the Nigerian people a false hope that solution is in sight, or that the solution is on the way, or that sooner than later this fuel subsidy thing, this fuel crisis thing will be a thing of the past. Furthermore,
Tunde Kolawole, we have to let you go at this point in time. Thank you so much for being part of the show. We do appreciate your thoughts. I mean, it's for the want of time. It's always a delight to listen to you.
Thank you for having me.
And we look forward to
have a great day.
All right, thank you so much. And that's the size of it for Off the Press. We'll take a break now. And just before we take that break, let's let you know what happened today in history. And of course, on the other side will be time for us to look at our first major conversation, the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. What exactly will be the solution, or what can be the solution? Stay with us.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Seize it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Booking November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
He suffered equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect am. If you no talk, dem go beat you. Na 2,500 they pay.
For me, I wanted to change that culture. I didn't believe that until you see a white man or you see a foreigner in the kitchen before you can believe that, you know, good food is going to come out of that kitchen.
You can leverage on each other's spaces and, you know, sell. We believe in Nigeria, right? We believe that Nigeria can get better. We, the youth, are the ones that can make it better.
And my products are proudly made in Nigeria.
Made in Niger, showing every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. and repeats on Saturday at 8:30 a.m.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
Welcome back. It's still The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa, and of course, we're moving on with our program. And first conversation, of course, as we earlier advertised, talking about security or insecurity in the country. A review of media reports by news outfit Premium Times has shown that at least 103 people were killed by non-state actors in Nigeria in the last week, and this is from March 6 to March 12, 2022. Very grim statistics if you ask. The review says that last week's killings indicate a massive increase of over 900% when compared with the previous week when 10 persons were killed. 900%. The figure of the previous week was the lowest in the year 2022, by the way. Now, out of the 103 people who were killed, 24 were security personnel, consisting of 18 soldiers and 6 police officers, while the remaining 79 were civilians. Now, most of the killings occurred in Kebbi State, northwest Nigeria, while others were recorded in a few other states. No incident was recorded in Zamfara State, Sokoto State, or Niger State, which are arguably the epicenter of the banditry in the country. 2 persons were killed in Kaduna State, 82 in Kebbi, including at least 63 vigilantes from 5 communities who were confirmed dead after bandits ambushed them on Sunday evening. 2 days after the outlaws on Tuesday again killed 18 soldiers and 6 policemen in the entourage of the Kebbi State Deputy Governor Samaila Yombe. 12 deaths were recorded in Katsina State. 7 children reportedly killed in a stampede of residents fleeing from bandits in Shimfida, that's in Jabia local government area. Now, also in Katsina State, 5 passengers lost their lives while 3 others were severely wounded when bandits opened fire on a moving vehicle in Yantumaki, that's on the Dan Musa Road, on Saturday morning. In Ogun State, yet to be identified assailants also on Monday set ablaze the Bale of Olowe Bagura in Abeokuta North local government area. Following the incident in Kebbi State, President Muhammadu Buhari, in a statement by his spokesperson Gabra Shehu, condemned the killings. The president, while reacting to the incident, vowed to put an end to the killings by bandits in the northwestern part of the country. Well, the question is, can he and will he? Very glad to say joining us this morning on Breakfast is security consultant, Ambassador Dr. Wamien Roy Ohideve. He is our guest on the program this morning. Ambassador, great to have you join us today.
Thank you. I don't know if I can still smile without your opening narrative. Thank you.
Really sad indeed. So what's your answer to that question? The president has reacted by condemning the situation, the incident in Kebbi State. Really sad one. The bandits held the security operatives in a convoy of the deputy governor in a gun battle for 2 hours and more. And when they left, at least 18 of them were gone. The president has condemned it, and he's vowing to address the banditry in the northwest, which seems to have taken over and exceeded the insurgency in the northeast. Your thoughts on that?
Well, to be direct, let's try to really look at it directly. Now, if you see when you make comments as a president, is there commensurate action? Now, action in the sense that the situation we found ourselves in Nigeria, we have since been talking about it. We have been insinuating all the unwholesome opportunities for politicians, the religious activities, ethnic violence activities, to influence security agencies. You know, even the judiciary has not even helped. All the institutions are comatose. You know, it's only when you go to Abuja or you make a phone call to some certain persons that you can make some things happen in the country. You know, so if you want to follow the president's statement, you are supposed to see appropriate recruitment processes for our security agencies. You are supposed to see proper remuneration. You are supposed to see discipline for erring officers and agency personnel. You are supposed to see a rich curriculum that is ready to articulate the current insecurity, global insecurity. You know, you are supposed to see logistics properly applied, you know, and you are supposed to see promotion and control of deployment of personnel being in the hands of the responsibility of every agency, the army, the military, the DSS, they should be in charge. Then you are supposed to see a judiciary that should respect judicial expectations. A government that is people-centered. But that is not what we have. That has brought us to where we are today, that local government chairmen, obas, emirs, village chiefs, they are now among in the criminality. They are complicit. Some of them have been arrested. We have worship centers, both the imam and the Christians. Now you see pastors and imams being complicit in kidnapping and drugs. You see government personnel, security agencies, senior officers, military, police being complicit in kidnapping, financial fraud. So where do you think a government, a president making such a statement should start from? He should start from making people accountable.
So you would say now, because let's even start from that part. I mean, the issue of security, for every time we get to talk about it, one would say that we need to look at it the way it is, in its real sense. It affects everybody, like everybody. It has nothing to do with whether you belong to a certain political party, PDP, APC, and what have you. So how would you describe the real issue right here? Because if you look at it, the country as we are, 36 states, including the FCT, so you're saying 37, the security concerns are not the same in different parts of the country. So you have in the northeast the issue of banditry, kidnap, and Boko Haram insurgency in that side. And to other parts, you have in the the southeastern region where you have IPOP issues, those who are agitating for self-governance. And then to different parts, you have the issue of maybe banditry, farmer headers clash, kidnappings, and what have you. We're not saying that the society should be entirely free of all of this crime, but to some extent, it should be safe. So how would you really describe, what would you say the problem is with us? Being that if you look at this current administration, the president came on the grounds that he was going to solve the insecurity issues. If you look at some of the issues, security, corruption, and economy, 7 years and counting, it feels like we have gone back to, I really don't know where we really are right now. It's no longer safe. Babies are now being carried. And because in some of these states, I'm sorry that I'm taking long. In some of these states, for instance, just some days back, there's a baby who was in the dispatch, box and taken around the area of Shongotedo. But the president, should we blame the president for that as well? So how do we really describe this problem that we're facing? What exactly is the problem here?
Okay, I like, you were not too long, you were trying to capture the scenario. The scenario is bleak. Now, if you want to go a little back, let's us try to save time. You will see that Nigerians got into politics and weaponized violence. The first time we got into politics, it was to break bottles, snatch ballot boxes, and engrave the elbows of people that could cause mayhem. Later we promoted them to call them godfathers. So they were the ones that would decide who becomes this. And we started to destroy the articulate relevance of INEC. So ballot counting does not count anymore. It was truncated. It was moved from one place to the other, infused with negative boxes, votes. Then you now see politicians looking at hoodlums as their own armies. Creating armies became a skill to be recognized as a good politician. So when you can just blow a whistle, boys come in and scatter everywhere. Didn't know we were creating a model called political terrorism, because we wanted to use politics to intimidate and cause fear. So we created these hoodlums, we armed them, we gave them superiority over security agencies. Now, it's cutting across the whole country. Remember, no APC or PDP in Nigeria now, because they all move from party to party. Even after a party voted you into office as a governor, as a senator, the next week he's moving to another party. How? You understand? So we have seen all of this, and now we needed to discuss the gray areas. We agree, as you said, there's insecurity everywhere. So, but we need to mitigate it. We need to curb it. We need to put it under rein. Okay, so we need to discuss. So if we want to discuss anything, insecurity in the Niger Delta area, we need to look for who can discuss, who can represent the people. And the people that were pushed forward to represent the North, the South, the East, they were all scams. They were interested in helping themselves.
When you say the scams, what
yes, scam is a decoy. A scam is deployed to confuse, to misdirect, you know. So these were people that came to Aso Rock anytime, any day, came to a round table anytime, any day, discussing national issues, but putting their personal interests in front. So the people were not properly represented. So gradually, dividends of democracy pushed to the NDDC did not get to the Niger Delta. Go and look at the roads. Go and look at that. Dividends of democracy pushed to the North could not get to the masses. The Amajeri, militant groups, all of them grew up.
So you're talking from 1999?
No, I'm just building a cartel quickly for you, you know. So all of these things grew up. So the people became agitated. And unfortunately for them, these cabals that hold Nigeria, that make decisions, from a governor, you become a senator. From a senator, after 8 years, some are coming back to say they want to be a governor, a president. From there, they go and be an ambassador. Okay, so they were looking for immunity for the misrepresentation they were doing, not knowing that the people agitation was growing. Children started growing with disgruntled hearts. So a bike man can carry a child. A 6-year-old can carry a gun. A 18-year-old can use his mother for rituals, because everybody has seen that there is no law and order, breakdown of law and order, anarchy reigns, and there is no institution to curb it.
So basically it's the issue, you want to say that it's not that we don't have what it takes to address the issue, but it's the fact that there's there's no willpower to enforce obedience and make arrests.
Yeah. You know, when I joined the Nigerian army, I was so impressed. If there is a traffic break hold up somewhere, and you just see a soldier come down with just his belt, everybody will just behave themselves. You know, if you are taken to the police station, you are begging, because from the police station, 1 or 2 evidence put together, straight to court. And you see a lawyer, you respect a lawyer so much, because you know that he stands for justice. You know, I'll call my lawyer, and you are begging the guy, don't call your lawyer. But nowadays, all those institutions have dilapidated trust.
They've been eroded.
You know? So the erosion of trust, competency, relevance is what we are now. So you take me to the police station, I'm already calling another police to call that police, to call this police and share money. And you, that is the complainant, become the accused. It's not the police's fault. It's the institutions that are supposed to control them. Look at Abba Kyari's case, just as a small example. Where is the office of the IG? When a police officer was on social media, was showing affluence, where is the Police Service Commission? Where are the areas? What about the military? Those generals that were caught with billions, that you see them building, buying houses in Abuja, transferring wealth. Banks are supposed to know when a certain amount of money move. As a staff, and a certain amount of money gets into your account, it's supposed to be blocked. You are not supposed to get more than that. You know, so what happened to those financial controls, ICPC, all of those institutions? So if we don't control the institutions, make them accountable for people that default on policies, regulations, criteria to hold office, then we continue to encourage the masses, the youths, the teenagers that are coming to visionize being like you.
Interesting. So you've connected, and you can't say you're saying we can't talk about insecurity in isolation. It has connecting dots to other issues in a larger country. You've talked about corruption, you've talked about discipline, you've talked about morality. Muhammadu Buhari came to office in 2015 on expectations that being a former general who has a track record of fighting indiscipline, the corruption will be a thing of the past. Should we talk about security? He was the one who, against the orders of the then president, Shehu Shagari, chased Mutasine into another country, Chad. And it was ended in a few hours or days. So this was the expectation. What went wrong?
Well, as a military officer, if you give an order today For the next 10 years after you leave, the order still stands. There's a joke that some men were found guarding a molded chair in a barrack. Soldiers were guarding it. Just a chair. They clean it and they pose there with their rifle. It's a joke. But someone came to finally ask, why are they putting guards on a concrete chair? You know? And they asked all the commanders. And by the time they got to the commander that gave the instruction, he said he put those soldiers there because the concrete was wet. He wanted them to protect it. So the military might, the military discipline was what President Muhammad Buhari was hatching on. Not knowing that in the civil space, in a democracy, you needed your officers, you needed your action desk, you needed your institutions, the NNPC, the Ministry of this, the health sector, the judicial sector. You needed helmsmen to hold your vision of security, no crime, no corruption, no this, no that. You needed to place people there. You cannot just be at Aso Rock as the president and say there won't be corruption in Nigeria. It's not possible. Why? Because every officers have their cascading office roles. So that was the first error that the president had, to believe that if he comes in as a model of no corruption, no insecurity, man of no nonsense, it will hold water. It won't hold water. So people started to create insecurity in different places. Insecurity had the world of the day, and all you need to do is now to call somebody. There was a time he called one IG to report to the front lines. He didn't go. He was in Abuja and nothing was done. Those were the times that he should begin to see that officers were relevant to your corporate vision.
Okay, so let's look at it from this angle. There's been a lot of argument about, the personnel. You have mentioned it. And some people say that it's because we don't have enough personnel, to police the entire country. If you want to look at the number of police officers policing over 200 million Nigerians or plus Nigerians, you're looking at about 300,000 or plus. And so that's not even enough. According to the UN recommendation, we're hoping that you have, 600 police, 600, one police officer policing about maybe 180 or thereabout. But in this case, we're looking at one police officer policing about 600 persons. So the issue of, the manpower, the strength is a major issue. I will cite a typical example. When the hashtag #EndSARS protests started, and those who hijacked the system, because of course it started as a very peaceful process until you had some element who took over the entire protest in different parts of the state. Yes, I was, in the southern part of the country at that time. And I put a call to, the PRO of police in the state. And she said, we don't have men. We don't have men. We don't have men. The fire here, there's nobody, the police station has been set ablaze. Apart from that, the fact that they don't have men. And I felt so sorry for myself because I saw some persons who were going to set a fueling station ablaze. And so what could one do? So this is just the scenario saying that could it also be that the reason why we're grappling with all of this insecurity is that we don't have enough personnel in terms of police officers?
Well, in an emergency situation, you are supposed to make do with what you have. It is proactive to begin to think of situations to put yourself that we call emergency situations. It is reactive to begin to look for solutions when you are in an emergency. Now we are in an emergency. But let me just take a cue from what you have said. There are people. Look, the value of the officer determines the number that you need, ma. The value. Now, if I have 10 men and just 3 people can do the job of that 10 men, look at the value of the remuneration of a police officer. Not only the salary, accommodation, look at the health care for his family, things that will make him comfortable to project himself forward. Now, those are not there. Then you begin to look at the logistics provided, the current insecurity situation, and the technological level that we should be executing right now. We see it on TV, we see it on Google, but it's not appropriately deployed in our policing, in our military activities. Okay? Now, you look at the quality of personnel, after you look at the remuneration to attract the quality you want. And I ask a simple question. These guys that you see driving logistics bikes that are intelligent enough, these guys that are doing cyber crimes that are intelligent enough, do you know how many Nigerian graduates that read criminology and security studies? Do you know how many university does criminology and security studies for 5 years and they graduate every year? Now, if you take this number of people, send them SMS. If you want to join the police, please meet us at so and so place. Take that number of people, send them SMS, military, DSS. They will come out. These are graduates of 5 years, maybe 7 years if we have ASU strike. Now, these are people that are also riding Okada. These are people that are doing security in my company and so many other persons' company. That their brains are full of ideas, but the opportunity to deploy it is restricted. Now, if you do that, you have curbed the fake recruitment system that is going on now. Do you know what's going on? They call one guy and say, we are recruiting. Do you have people Rankadede? Or Oga from the East? Do you have people? Or Oga from Edo or from Yoruba land? Do you have people? They send them people from their nooks and cranny. Even if he's not educated enough, even if he fails the exam, you will hear he was brought by XYZ person. Director of PlusTv sent him. Oh, that man. You need to read. When you join the military or the police, make sure you read all the time. And they put in these wrong pegs in wrong holes. And you see a lot of them becoming stooges, boys to one madam, like you saw carrying food for the woman, and all those kind of things that are irrelevant to the level of insecurity and the required intelligence, deployment of technology, and wishful patriotism that is required. Anybody that went to university in Nigeria to read criminology and security studies for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, if there is strike, comes out, start riding Okada, is patriotic.
So, but just before I let Kofi come in, are you saying that the issue right here is not the issue of numbers, but it's the fact that we've not been able to manage the numbers that we have? Is that what you're saying?
I said if you need, we are talking about proactive and reactive. I mentioned that. So now we are in reactive. We are in reactive. So if you need men now, you need to look at what is the current deployment. How many men do you have? Have you heard when there's an Anambra election or where there's an election in Gombe, you hear 3,000 policemen were deployed to the state? Have you heard that before? So why don't you hear 20,000, 3,000 policemen? Do we have a proper statistics of living officers that are good to go to be deployed in the front line? Do we know how many we have? Or we are following the media discretion? We don't know. So if you know how many you have, you will now know if they are appropriately deployed. How many did you say was following a governor? 16 soldiers or whoever? What was the statistics you mentioned? Are those the numbers? I travel a lot. I see governors in Canada. I see governors in the US. I see people that hold office in buses, in trains with me. And I wonder, why is it that we don't do this in our country? If your children's school in Nigeria, you will make sure the schools are good. You will make sure there is security around where they go to school, where they transverse. If you also understand that you need to visit your village, your local government that voted you into power at least twice in a month, you will make sure that place, as a criteria to hold office, you are not supposed to be in Abuja. You will make sure your village is secured. You know, you will make sure all of these things work. If you are supposed to follow economy, if you are supposed to follow the train that we built, it's not for the masses, it's for Nigerian citizens. If you are supposed to follow that train, you make sure the fuel is complete all the time, that there won't be stoppage on the road. You know, so because we have removed our leaders from utilizing the opportunities they gave us to enjoy democracy, it's like like animal farm, where some animals are greater than others.
I'd like to, very interesting analysis. I'd like to share an experience of some persons I know who traveled through the southeast on the 20th of February. One of them, a very popular guy in Port Harcourt, is still missing as we speak. His name is Steady Easy. Family is praying, friends are praying for him to return home. The next one is a very close person to me who traveled from Port Harcourt to Anambra, to a village, for a traditional marriage. My heart was in my mouth because I know what's going on between the Abia, Imo border. And of course, you go through that road to get to Okigwe. The person moved from the entourage, the family, convoy moved from Anambra to Asaba. Now, on making the trip from Asaba back to Port Harcourt, they had to go through the southeast because they realized that some roads were blocked by boys. So they diverted, all the cars diverted through a villages, through the bushes. And if I show you the messages and the accounts and the talk, the chat on the phone, it was gory. We're just praying that she makes it back home in one piece. There were reports of dead bodies seen on the street. There were reports of a human heart being seen on the street. There was no report of a single policeman seen. When they crossed in from Imo State into River State, we shouted hallelujah. Not a single policeman. Who did they see providing security in the southeast? Sir, vigilante boys, community boys. Now, there's a suspicion that the young man who is being looked for has been kidnapped. So these community boys would stop the cars, the bus, they were driving a commercial vehicle, and ask for money. So they block the roads so that you divert through the villages and ask you for money. And if you don't pay, they cut the gun at you. They are armed. So we have an absence of police on the roads in almost the entire southeast as we speak.
So you need to understand that it's escalating beyond control. Because right now, children are seeing it as status quo. And all my fear all the time, because I talk to youths a lot. I talk to university students. I talk to schools, children. If you build that mindset in that catchment of Nigerians, you are going to be in a big trouble. Okay, so now in those northeast areas, eastern shores that you're talking about, what is the problem? The problem now is people are saying they want Biafra and all that. What discussions are on the table? On the side of the Easterners, I have said it. What discussions are on the table? Who is discussing for you? Violence, violence, violence. Look at the military veterans. When we had all the disgruntlement, when I came out of the military, I joined forces with those I see have articulate ideas to defeat the maltreatments. Until date, you have not seen a situation where they said retired military people took out arms. We could, we can, we should, okay? With the level of decadence, people are dying every day. Our colleagues, we fought together, we survived, we retired from the military, they are dying. But because of control, there are articulate ways to interrogate all the grievances of the East. I have had opportunities where Easterners got into the Senate. Okay. There are opportunities where I'm from that area too. So there are opportunities where we got into presidency. What have we done to put some laws into place? We do the NDDC. NDDC is used now to siphon money. There are cases already. We are not speculating. You know, so if we have the violence front line, is it going to help us? How many generations behind are we training to be violent? So I think that the discussion should be reawakened. The discussion should be pioneered by people that understand articulate interrogation of cases, people that have mediation and conciliation skills. I'm a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Mediation and Conciliation. When I left the army, I did a lot of things. You know, there are discussions that you could put forward, judiciary to hold ground, the Senate and the legislature to put in laws that will still benefit.
So you're saying we need to look at non-military solutions in the Southeast?
Non-violent
solutions. Quickly, very quick, because of time. The Northeast was the problem. Now the Northwest is the problem. Banditry has exceeded terrorism. Very quickly, the solution.
Well, we started to say we want to find out who people were, but we failed. We started to say we want to hold ground and refuse them to hoist flag. We're failing to. We started to say we want to do community resilience, which is to relate with the people, get intelligence from the people, but we are failing also because there are modes within the military, the police, and all other agencies. You know, so I think that where we should start from beginning to see what's going on is there are mineral resources in those areas. Some of them are one of the reasons why this is being attractive. You remember the Niger Delta with the oil and the oil wells and all that. So if you look at the mineral resources, if you begin to put proper government regulations, resist this mercenary kind of mining those minerals, refuse all these hoodlums to hold ground, rotate and mobilize the military, police, whoever, NSCDC you send to those areas regularly so they don't become business owners in those places and penalize people found wanting.
So we're being prompted to, call it at this point in time. But I will just steal a few seconds. Now, there's no way we talk about the issue of security or insecurity without looking at the security, the structure of policing. Some people say the fact that we have a centralized police structure is not helping. Decentralize it. Let state control the architecture. Do you support this notion? And do you think this will help us bring peace and some sort of security?
So let me say state policing is being offered. I still say it. I've said it in like 7 years ago. I'm still saying it till date. State policing is fine, okay? But we don't have responsible government that is going to remove its claws from the state police. That will not use it to intimidate. We don't have responsible government that will motivate the state police to the level of compliance that we expect. Let's take Lagos State for an example. They were coming with all these, their internal system. The Lagos State security, these guys that ride bicycles and wear this blue and, that system is dying. They have not imputed the right candidates. Then the teachers are not paid. Some state staff members are not paid. How will you pay those that carry arms? We need responsible governance. If you have responsible governance, I will be interested in state policing. Right. We can't give a state government state police and it's not able to pay them, motivate them, and equip them. It will be a disaster.
Thank you so much for your time. It's been very interesting having you on the program. Ambassador Dr. Owami and Roy Ohidievier is a fellow of the IIPS at SOM. He is also a security consultant, and he's been our guest on the breakfast this morning. Apologies, we didn't get everything right. Thank you very much. Thank you. But we thoroughly enjoyed your analysis and hope to have you again soon. And happy birthday in advance.
Yeah, thank you.
It's his birthday. All right, I don't know whether two of you plan to come at almost the same time.
Today is our birthday.
I'm telling you, yes. All right, it's still a breakfast, so we're back to talk some more right here on the program. Please stay with us.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on PlusTvAfrica.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam, you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, PlusTvAfrica, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
It's also equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, they go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
is The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. As power and poor power supply persist in many parts of the country, the federal government has quietly removed all subsidy in the power sector with a plan to gradually end subsidies on petrol. Meanwhile, the federal government has said that it will grow Nigeria's power generation to 11,000 megawatts in 2022, saying measures to actualize this were already on ground. Currently, the country's power generation hovers around 4,000 megawatts and 5,000. We do have Mukhtar Mohammed, a financial analyst, join the conversation this morning. Mukhtar Mohammed, it's good to have you join us.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Okay, so I'd like to share your thought. This has been a lot for Nigerians to, deal with at a time when we're talking about fuel subsidy. But the question is it okay for us to talk about subsidizing the electricity sector when we don't even have constant power supply?
Well, I think if you have power, no matter how little you have, and government is subsidizing for what you don't even have, is it not better off for them to not subsidize it at all, so that we know that we pay for what we have based on the measure that government has put in place? I'm not an advocate of subsidy of any kind, especially when it's not a subsidy that's going to end up bringing more revenue to the table of government to be able to intervene social interventions. But when you tell me to choose between electricity subsidy and petroleum subsidy, I'd rather go for electricity subsidy than petroleum subsidy, because electricity subsidy is going to touch every part of the world. It's going to touch every part of Nigeria. Every Nigerian is going to benefit from it. So we don't do petroleum subsidy whereby once there's queue and petroleum shortage of petroleum, there's queue, or there's an incident on the road, the prices just jack up to about 100%. And it's the ordinary Nigerian that you think you're subsidizing for that are really suffering from it. But when you talk about electricity subsidy, for me, it's better to remove the subsidy in petroleum product and plunge it into electricity subsidy, because that we could say we are really subsidizing, because it's going to touch every Nigerian equally. Comparable to now that you have subsidy in the petroleum sector, and you have about somebody driving up to 3 to 4 cars enjoying subsidy every day, and somebody does not even have 1 car. Yet the subsidy is supposed to be meant for him, and that person is not enjoying that subsidy because of scarcity of petroleum products, because of insecurity, or because of one thing that is not under his control. So for me, I think it's a good thing that we are beginning to look at removing subsidy, because if you don't do that, it will in turn become a monster, just like the petroleum subsidy is a monster to us now.
But usually there's this argument where, for instance, now you talk about the petroleum sector and those who were saying, yes, it's okay for government to remove subsidy. But before government removes subsidy, the question would be, what has government done? The refineries are not functional. So it's the same question with the power sector. Yes, we understand the issue that it's been privatized, not entirely. But if you say you're withdrawing subsidy, you're removing subsidy from the power sector, what is the state of the power sector in terms of generation and distribution?
Well, there's no right time for anything. The right time is now. When it comes to economic policy, you don't get all the parameters right before you decide to do it, because definitely at the end of the day, you have to get it right for it to continue being what it is. So I share what you're trying to say there. But then look at the petroleum subsidy. I keep using that as a heuristic. We have seen a situation whereby subsidy have been paid for over the years in terms of trillions. Like this year, we're expecting subsidy of about 4 trillion. And yet it's not going to, rather it's going to worsen the life of the ordinary Nigerian and help the ordinary Nigerian. So if it's something that we need to do, I think we need to begin to act fast. You learn from your experience. It's only a fool that will say, I want to learn from my mistakes. Everybody learns from the mistake of the person before them, or the mistake they have made, to become a lesson to them, and they want to make sure that they don't repeat that. And I'm sure that's what we are getting again. Because the subsidy in electricity that government paid, we don't even know the exact subsidy and who are you subsidizing and what are you subsidizing for. So the same thing that is happening in the petroleum sector is about to creep into the electricity sector, whereby these things of subsidy is shrouded in a lot of controversy, because you are not able to have a particular data to tie this subsidy scheme to. So the problem that we're having in the petroleum sector is the same problem we are getting in the electricity sector, if not worse in the electricity sector, because we don't even know the numbers. The number of people you are paying subsidy for, because according to the electricity bill, You are not supposed to pay subsidy for everybody. They are supposed to pay subsidy for people in a particular, maybe in the low-income area. But how do you determine a low-income area? So those are part of
a give back, money shared to the poorest Nigerians to cushion the effect, which was in turn going to be more than the federal government was spending for fuel subsidy. And now we heard later that the president may not have said anything like that from the Senate president. He said President Buhari could not have done that. And then later we heard that they were not going ahead with that. And even the whole plan to give the most vulnerable or poorest Nigerians transportation, it didn't look sustainable because they was going to give this money every month. What are your thoughts on Mrs. Zainab Ahmed and the statement she puts out, and the credibility of
one debate whereby you don't have attract foreign investors into Nigeria because they don't have. It has been an administration that has been involved in double talk. The minister says it's the presidency disputed and said this is not what we meant. Look, the subsidy scheme has been proposed by the minister. Removal subsidy was good, but then you added it that you want to pay some Nigerian 5,000 naira every month for the next 1 year. The subsidy at that time was 3 trillion, and you're going to spend 2.5 trillion paying 500 naira to Nigeria. And when you talk about the poor, who are the poor in Nigeria? How do you determine who is the poor? What is the data that makes you to determine who is the poor? So as long as we have challenges in terms of data, we don't even know how many Nigerians we are. I just say we are above 200 million. We don't even know how many because we last did population census over 20 years ago. So we need to update our data. It's when you start working with data that some of these economics that you are trying to put from makes sense. As it stands, it doesn't make sense. Even the current time we are here that we're going to pay 4 trillion for subsidy, and we ask, at which price were we paying 4 trillion? If you say we are paying 4 trillion because the price of crude at a particular time was $110 or $120, when it goes to $80, when it goes to $70, are we still paying the same amount of subsidy that we were paying before? So this are not, you cannot even, up to this moment, Nigeria cannot even maximize their OPEC output of 1.8 million. We are doing 1.5 billion. So there's a lot of challenges, and this is because it's an election year, and that could be one of the reasons why Biden said, suspend this policy for now. Pass it back to the new administration to come and see how they can sort it out because they will have 4 years to do that.
So when you hear in 2023 that the finance minister is saying with just 1 year to go that they will be removing petrol subsidy in phases and doesn't give a timeline for that phase, specific timeline, like you said, data to back it, figures, because finance is about numbers to show what exactly she means by phases. What does that say?
That says to you and I that they don't have our interest. After the election, once whatever candidate they're supporting wins that election, they can decide to say, look, we are leaving, so we can remove the subsidy. Let the next government that is coming begin to deal with a crisis of subsidy removal. Remember that the same thing the previous government of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan wanted to do also. At the time they were going, they wanted to hike the price of petroleum products, let the incoming administration come to deal with it. But the people rise up against it. But even when this incoming administration came in, they were able to even increase the price. But remember that this is the only administration that increased fuel price more in terms of percentage. In terms of percentage, they met the fuel, and at the time they came in, they met fuel at about, I think at that time about maybe barely 70 to 80 naira per liter. But today, here we are 160, and they have been proposing 320, 400 without any sustainable data to mark up. That's the challenge. You are paying 4 trillion. Remember, this administration at a point told us that they were not paying subsidy again. They were only for NPC to call it under recovery. So they brought in a lot of names to say, we are not paying subsidy. We don't believe in the subsidy. This administration, before he came in, the president, then a presidential candidate, said that there's nothing like subsidy. That subsidy is a fraud. And then you came in there now, you are the one perpetrating the fraud.
Okay, so what would you say the implication is if the government says that they're removing or they have removed subsidy for in the power sector or the electricity sector, however you want to put it? What does that mean for Nigerians?
They have removed it. If you are buying credit, you realize that the amount you used to buy before, the unit they give to you have come down. They have done that already. So when the minister is saying that we have removed electricity subsidy quietly, he didn't say we will remove. It has been removed.
And this is coming in a time when, you know, the nation is grappling with power challenges. You know, of course, the transmission company of Nigeria recently had to come out to defend itself, to say that the report saying that we are responsible for the current load shedding in the country is not true. We're not just generating enough electricity. We can only transmit to the distribution companies what we get from the generation companies. So isn't it bizarre that this is all coming at a time when we don't even have electricity? You know, a lot of parts of Nigeria are without power supply as we speak.
You don't need to even go far. A lot of places in Lagos, even very close to you there now, I'll be surprised if you are not using generating plant there right there in your studio to be on air. So it's right beside us there. You see, the government does not have the political will to do the right thing, and that's why we are where we are. No government has come out to have the political will to deal with the power situation. Until we have a government that have the political will to deal with the power situation, to deal with the petroleum sector, and then we'll have the kind of peace that we intend to generate to do prosperity. Because when you look at the petroleum sector, it's the life wire, it's the blood of the Nigerian economy. It's the one that generated the most revenue for the Nigerian economy. And it's one of those sectors that is engaged in a lot of corruption. So you can see that we are not only talking about corruption, we are talking about oil theft also in that sector. So when you look at the electricity sector, if we don't do the right thing, we end up, what is government still doing with generation? Why is government still involved in generation? Why do you privatize? If you want to privatize everything and make sure you give it to competent hand. Let you begin to earn revenue, tax from there. After all, government is not going to legalize. Government is going to have a share. That's all what every government all over the world does. And they are not involved in the day-to-day run. So what they have done, they have reduced costs. And rather what they will then be getting, getting dividends. And the people in turn be the one that will benefit more. So when you talk about generation, they talk about, they say they have generators, sometimes they say they generate up to 7,000 megawatts, but they can only transmit less than 6,000 megawatts. And what is the challenge with it? The challenge is that even the GIGCO or the GISCO, whatever they call themselves, will not be able to transmit because of oscillate power equipment. So because they didn't have the technical know-how to begin to know that, look, when you're buying such a thing, you need to transform. So they didn't do that.
I'm really sorry. We have to let you go now. That's because we're really out of time and we have been prompted to, to let it go at this point in time. Thank you so much. And we're hoping that the government and everyone, stakeholders, will step into the right shoes and position to take the right decision so, we can be a nation that is lead. That's the most important thing. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Well, that's the size of it. You cannot take out the importance of having, talking about energy or power supply for any economy. It will really, really translate to ensuring that this development, a lot will happen. It would make the running business in Nigeria very, very, very easy and simple. But that's it. That's the size of the conversation this morning. If you missed out on any part of it, it's all right to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel. I am Merci beaucoup. Do have a fantastic day.
And happy birthday once again from all of us here, the team on air and off air, to you, Mercy. My name is Kofi Bartels. Keep watching PlusTvAfrica. The breakfast will return tomorrow. Good morning.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
In raising our kids, parents should stop playing God.
The internet is actually using the people.
But when you are looking for money to help other people, then it becomes easy.
Don't rush into marriage. I always say this. You rush in, you rush out.
Family is the bedrock of every society and the essence of life.
On Today with John and Helen, we dig deep into family values in every sense of the word.
Join us every Saturday at 9:15 a.m. on PlusTvAfrica, DSTV channel 408.
With you, we play a part in strengthening the values passed from generation to generation.
Can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on PlusTvAfrica.
Do you know any female between the ages of 18 to 25 who is currently unemployed or an undergraduate who is passionate about technology? Africa Agility is empowering young females between the ages of 18 to 25 with tech skills ranging from
product management,
web development, artificial intelligence, data science, digital marketing, machine learning, blockchain technology, agile, networking, and cybersecurity through partnership with Cisco. Here is your chance to learn these tech skills for free. We offer a variety of instructor-led and self-paced programs, both physical and virtual. To be a part of our programs, join our community using the details on your screen. Africa Agility is slowly reducing the poverty rate in Africa, one girl at a time. To sponsor a female or to donate to this course, visit donate.africaagility.org. Thank you.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from PlusTvAfrica. Good morning, I am Messi Bopo. This is the news brief. An aspirant for national chairman of APC, Saliu Mustafa, has said members will sustain President Muhammadu Buhari's legacy and institutionalize the party as haven for progressive ideals. Mustafa, who said members would make themselves available for media scrutiny, spoke in a statement by his media aide, Dakpo Okumbanjo. He described the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration and admonition to the party members as proof that was keen on making the party stronger than ever. He hailed the president's call for peace among feuding members ahead of the March 26 National Convention. The People's Democratic Party has described President Muhammadu Buhari and the All Progressive Congress regime as a perfect example of arrogance and failure. On Saturday, the president took a swipe at the People's Democratic Party, saying the platform failed both as a ruling and opposition party. Warning against inter-party crisis, Buhari asked the APC members to look at the once powerful main opposition People's Democratic Party now enfeebled and adrift and learn lessons in disunity, mismanagement and corruption. But reacting to the statement credited to Buhari on Sunday, the PDP spokesman, Honorable Debo Olungoba, described Buhari's position as laughable. According to him, Buhari presides over the most ruthless, corrupt and disunited, disorganized, arrogant political party and government in the history of Nigeria. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, had called a National Executive Council meeting on Sunday at its National Secretariat at the University of Abuja main campus to evaluate the response of the federal government to its demands. The union is expected to use the NEC meeting to decide whether to declare an indefinite strike after the end of its one-month warning strike declared on February 14th at the University of Lagos or not. ASU President Professor Emmanuel Sodoke confirmed the meeting but refused to give details. Despite series of meetings with the federal government team led by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Chris Ngige, there had been no breakthrough in negotiation. Professor Sodoke had said what the government had offered during those meetings were promises which ASU members are not convinced about. Meanwhile, ASU has said the User Acceptance Test, UAT, and the Vulnerability Assessment and Penetration Test on the University Transparency and Accountability Solution was still ongoing. The Chief of Defense Staff General Lucky Rabo, in an interview with reporters in Abuja, spoke on the efforts of the military in the battle against Boko Haram insurgents. According to him, some of our tactics have changed, but our vision remains the same. He said Nigeria wants to bring an end to the beginning of all terrorism. He added that we're achieving this in collaboration with stakeholders in national security and defense. Globally, Terrorism has evolved in the last 2 decades. The case is not different in Nigeria. What we're doing differently is to be ahead of this evolving trend. The armed forces of Nigeria is more prepared for all scenarios. Unfortunately, it will do us more harm than good if we go public to reveal all we have done or what we are supposed to do to achieve all of this. The good news is that in all the scenario, Nigeria will win, the Army Chief reassured. At least 5 passengers have been confirmed killed and 3 others critically injured after bandits armed with sophisticated weapons opened fire on vehicles passing along Yang-Tukmang Dan Musa Road in Katsina. The state police spokesman, Gambo Issa, confirmed the incident to newsmen in Dan Musa local government area, which is one of the most vulnerable areas in Katsina, sharing boundaries with the dreaded Rook Forest and areas like Sanfana, Kankara and other communities in Zamfara, where bandits are reportedly still very active. Earlier, we were joined by a former assistant director of the Department of State Services, Dennis Amakari. Take a listen. Executive Secretary of Lagos State Blood Transfusion Service, Dr. Bordering, has urged blood logistics service firms to maintain quality assurance. He said this would ensure provision of safe blood and blood products in Lagos State. She spoke at the Medin stakeholders meeting with accredited blood logistics service provided at the LCCI Conference Center in Ikeja. The Armed Forces Retirement Center, Oshodi, Lagos, has held a Thanksgiving service to mark the commencement of the passing out ceremony for retiring military personnel. The retirees, comprising those from the Nigerian Navy, the Army, the Air Force, underwent a 6-month training on capacity building and skill empowerment to acquaint them with the vocational skills that would enhance meaningful post-service life. Briefing journalists at the end of the prayer, the Commandant, Nigerian Air Force Resettlement Oshodi, Vice Air Marshal E.D. Gumso Lumbo, said the essence of the prayer was to appreciate God for seeing the trainees throughout the 6-month training period.
Every man must prepare for life after retirement, and that's why NAFRIC is here. I believe that the center is well poised to give people the required skill within the ranks and officers, cadre. We have different courses offered here. Let them opt to come here so that they are well ready to face the world as we join our civilian counterparts.
Ondo State government has promised to open up more communities for socio-economic development through provision of accessible roads. The Commissioner for Infrastructure, Lands and Housing, Aminu, said this when his led team on an inspection of 12 some strategic road projects in Ondo Central Senatorial District. The first phase of the 1.7-kilometer road linking Iro town to the Akure-Ilesha Highway was the first port of call for inspection team. Aminu appears delighted with the work done so far and wants the contractor to put more efforts to ensure speedy completion.
We are happy with the quality of work done and the level of completion. We can boldly say that this contractor, she's very, very knowledgeable and she's intelligent. That's why she's making very good use of this climate weather. Because in a few weeks to come, or a few months to come, we'll be entering a rainy season. So by then the job might not be as fast as this. But the major obstacle that can delay the project, she has nearly achieved all.
From there, the team moved to the construction site for the 2.4-kilometer Oke-Odu-Ikpanasa Road, which has reached an advanced stage. The major culvert has been put in place to beat the rainy season in order to deliver the work on schedule.
I cannot say how much I can thank the state government for doing this job for us. And after the completion of the road, it will beat the economics of the road, of the town. And this is the only route. If there's any problem between the express road, this is the alternative route to Akure.
There is need for a regular eye test in order to detect and treat glaucoma before it enters a danger zone. These were words from experts as the world marks Glaucoma Week. Plus TV Africa News Health correspondent Ngozika Ohaisiechi has more in this report.
Each year, the World Glaucoma Week adopts a common theme to observe the initiative. This year's theme is "The World is Bright, Save Your Sight." This brings to fore the need for citizens to take responsibility and good care of their eye to prevent vision impairment and irreversible blindness caused by glaucoma and other blinding eye conditions. This initiative puts a spotlight on glaucoma as a leading cause of preventable irreversible blindness worldwide. However, so many people are unaware they have the disease or may not have access to much-needed care. This is Bethesda Home for the Blind. Some visually impaired students tell us the story of how the silent thief stole their sight away. Meet Nathaniel Ndukwe, a 200-level visually impaired student of the University of Lagos, who wasn't born blind.
We started, let's say, about 10 years ago, when I was working with Julius Berger Nigeria PLC as a subcontractor. So that is when I started noticing the slight change on my sight. So just like that, I started going from one eye clinic to another. That's when they now confirmed it to be glaucoma.
Christopher, a CN, had similar experience than Nathaniel. He used to believe that blindness affects older people until he was caught up with the blindness in his early 20s.
I used to pay people to take me out. As I do the advice, before you take me out, people demand money from me. They will ask me for money. I'll pay you. But sometimes if I don't have that money to pay them, that's why I feel that embarrassment and everything. So now challenge on the road and everything.
Their eye condition isn't stopping them from improving and working towards achieving greater visions.
I passed through the craft class, so I learned how to make bead and otherwise. So that before I now moved to the jam class, where I sat for jam. So there are been a lot of improvement. Who would ever believe that a blind person can still go to school?
You can bring any computer to me now, I will operate it the way you operate computer. There's no phone. I can tell you that. Even myself now, I can challenge you now. Let's make it a phone. There's nothing you can do on phone I cannot do.
With over 15 years of experience as an optometrist and an eye wellness promoter, Rose Azike speaks on how to reduce the risk of developing glaucoma.
Now, number one is a family history of glaucoma. If your mother, your father, or someone in your family has glaucoma, there is a likely chance your risk of getting it is high because it's hereditary. That's number one. Then two is age. Starting from age 40, people that are age 40 and above are at an increased risk of getting glaucoma. Then other things are eye injury, ocular trauma.
She wants the government at all levels and private organizations to create an awareness about glaucoma while advising regular checks of the eye. Ngozika Ohaisiechi, Plus TV News.
On Street Views, Nigerians narrate their ordeal with online banking. Take a listen.
I had a few days delay in one transaction and another I had about 2 weeks. But other than that, it's been smooth for me. I like it because it's easy. I don't have to carry money around. I'm not endangered. When I do business, it's easy for me to quickly make payments and get things done. So for me, internet banking is okay. As long as they keep the security up with it in terms of their software, ensuring that the customer is covered, because it's not just about the bank, it's also about the customer.
More experience what I have for those banking is that all this banking, they are using it to scam people, so understand. That's what I don't like. Even myself, there's one of my guy that told me about all this bank, all this also bank, understand. So I do this for that. I did this thing. I do everything. I even send him my details for the banking, understand. So later, I can't find out it's a scam. So all this social bank, all this through online bank, all this app bank, I don't like it. What I mean is that I want government to take care of these things.
Depends on where you're banking and who you're banking with. For our own country, I feel it's real, but there are a lot of scam alerts out there, which you need to be very careful of.
I've not been defrauded or had any bad experiences, probably because I'm a very cautious person. So, and I always think twice before I take a step. I only internet bank with the banks I have accounts with and all. Most times, those ones that defraud always has something enticing with it, right? So you always has something that will entice you. That'll be like, okay, probably you will get an extra amount of money from banking with them or something. So if you're going to do such, you just have it at the back of your mind that you're taking a risk.
I haven't experienced the buy side of it before, but the deduction is what I would say. The consistent deduction. I don't think it's the good side of banking.
And now to other parts of Africa, Chad's government and opposition groups had started peace talk on Sunday morning in Doha. However, the talks are suspended after representatives from one of the 44 rebel groups attending left the room. Before that, the AU Commission had urged both parties to reach an agreement. The process should last several days. Musa Fakai Mahamat has already urged both parties to make concession. The peace talks are crucial, and according to Libya's foreign minister, they will improve stability and help fight terrorism in the Sahel region. A high-level Malian delegation arrived in the Mauritius capital on Friday, a diplomatic source said. These amid tension over the disappearance of civilians in the border area. The Malian envoys met authorities on Friday to curb the rising tension. Mauritanian had accused Malian's army of recruiting criminal acts after over 20 of its citizens went missing near the border. Consequently, Malian foreign minister led a delegation who arrived in to address the issue. At the end of the discussion, the minister said both parties agreed to set up a joint ad hoc fact-finding mission to shed light on the latest event that followed. Video uploaded to social media on Sunday showed military vehicles under fire around building in the besieged Ukrainian port of Mariupol. The video was uploaded by the Mariupol, a unit of the National Guard of Ukraine, the nation's agreement. In a caption accompanying the video, the National Guard of Ukraine claimed that Russian military vehicles were being fired upon. The City Council of Mariupol said 2,187 residents had been killed there since the start of the invasion. The city is running out of food, water, and an aid convoy failed again to reach the city due to Russian shellings, Ukraine's Deputy Prime Minister said on Thursday. We quickly take this break now. When we return, the news continues.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
And in business, National Association of Telecom Subscribers have called on the federal government to suspend issuing of deadlines for NIN SIM data verification exercise and adopt a continuous registration model. According to them, this will help the government to accommodate the National Identity Management Commission's lack of capacity to host the data of telecommunications subscribers. The president of the association, Adeolu Ogunbadro, disclosed this in an interview on Friday. According to him, a continuous registration process will cover the various hiccups experienced by the exercise. And to some entertainment news, the winners and nominees on Britain's biggest film night headed to an after-party at London's Grosvenor House Hotel on Sunday following the 75th British Academy Films Award. An absent Will Smith won the leading actor award for playing the father of tennis champion Venus and Serena Williams in King Richard. Jonas Callan won the leading actress for portraying a widow who discovered her late husband's devastating secret in an after-love affair. Ariana DeBose picked up the Best Supporting Actress trophy for her role in Spielberg's West Side Story. Fresh from his win at the Screen Actors Guild Awards, Troy Kotsur, who is deaf, won Supporting Actor for Coda, a coming-of-age story about hearing member of a deaf family. Summer of Soul, directed by Amir Questlove Thompson of hip-hop band The Roots, won the Best Documentary for telling of the 1969 Harlem Cultural Festival. Jane Champion's The Power of the Dog won the coveted Best Film and Best Director. The film's producer picked up the award on her behalf.
Well, I heard it's not a very British thing to show your emotions, maybe. I could be wrong, and if so, I apologize. But I was just like, don't cry, don't cry. Be dignified about anything. Just try to be dignified. But it was really special. And I got emotional because I meant it. I meant every word, especially in regards to Cindy Tolan, our casting director. Actors don't work without casting directors who champion them. And without her, I wouldn't be here, so.
It feels wonderful to be recognized, not that BAFTA looks at me as deaf, but as an actor who happens to be deaf. I'm just trying to bring a new perspective and hope to inspire folks to open their hearts and minds to think about possibilities and opportunities for the future, not only for deaf actors, but maybe directors, writers, producers, and so on. And so I'm just so glad that I'm the first deaf award winner. You know, this is a part of history now, and so it's truly a blessing.
Not a pressure, because I think we're all in collaboration in the industry, and no matter what level you're at, whether you're coming in or you're a veteran, we've all got a part to play, and it's that makes me really grateful for even coming from where I come from, being working class and getting to this position. It doesn't really matter, do you know what I mean? We're all in it together, and I know that sounds cliche, but we literally are. We've all got a part to play.
Hold it like a baby, but you know, for me especially, it means a lot to me because you know, I used to live here in Kinnish Town, and so like I consider London a second home, and really this is the city that brought my group prominence. Like we came here first. We left our hometown to come to London so that we could make it and then come back to America, you know, pulling a Hendrix. So for the people to give this back to me, this is amazing. 30 years later, I never thought of this. Eating fish and chips in Kinnish Town.
Just a little, it's all a bit surreal, really. We haven't seen, Emil's based in Sydney, I'm based in London. We haven't seen each other for 2 years, so to be suddenly back together and winning Best Film, it's very
reunited
surreal.
On the red carpet with the BAFTA. We just wish Jane Campion was here. She's in Los Angeles because this is her movie, and it's an incredible tribute to her vision to have her recognised in this way by BAFTA.
And in news, the technical manager of Lobby Stars of Markadi, Eddie Dombre, and 8 members of the technical crew have been sacked. This is following a poor performance of the club in recent times. Eddie, a Ukrainian-based license who took over the team from Kebriu Dago, could not improve the performance of Markadi Bay's side. According to the release, the vice chairman coach Eugene will take charge of the team on temporary basis and will be assisted by Coach Sam. And that's the news brief. For more stories, please follow us at PlusTvAfrica on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. Many thanks for watching. I am Messi Boko. Have a great day. There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from PlusTvAfrica.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, PlusTvAfrica, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajitumobi.
businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter